Well, yung real gas, hindi siya nag-aano doon sa ideal gas law. Okay? So the ideal gas law, it was what we call used as a model to explain the behavior of the gas. So the ideal gas would only apply if you have low pressure and high temperature. Okay? But just like everything, okay, wala tayong tinatawag na ideal world, right? So pag naghahanap tayo ng boyfriend, we always have what? Tall, dark, and handsome. But in the real world, we don't have that thing. Ang makikita natin, tall, dark, and handsome ang mukha. Okay? So the same thing with what we call the gases. So when they have this ideal gas law, okay, so they try to look at the behavior of the gas at low pressure and high temperature. But the problem is, okay, not all gases behave ideally. So to compensate the effect of these so-called intermolecular forces of attraction, okay, the effect of pressure, they derive the ideal gas law into the so-called van der Waals gas law, okay, compensating the effect of the IMFA, the forces of attraction when the gases become too close to one another, and if you have what we call the high pressure, because if you have high pressure, they become closer to one another to the point that they will be able to have an intermolecular forces of attraction. So hindi na sila nag-behave ideally. Okay? So if you're going to look at the what we call the plot, the ideal gas is just a straight line, but if it's not ideal gas, they usually behave not ideally. That's the thing that you have when we're talking about real gas, but I don't think it's covered really here. Do they have a question about it? Because if you're going to look at the answer here, true or false, I think one is true. Letter B is false. Collision of a gas molecules is elastic. Average kinetic energy of the gas directly proportional to absolute time. That's true. Boyle's law states that volume and pressure of gas are directly proportional. That's false because they are indirectly proportional. That's what the gas law all about. Now, if you're going to look at here, to explain the properties between solids and liquids, IMFA, so the solids, they are close to one another. They have stronger IMFA, resulting in definite volume and definite shape. Okay. Now, if you're talking about cohesive and adhesive forces, so this is the attractive forces behave between same molecules and different molecules, and they have an effect. Okay, the cohesion and adhesion process has an effect on how the meniscus would look like. Okay, yung water na pag ganito, tapos yung mercury na pataas. And if you're asked here which has the higher surface tension, you're going to look at the polarizability. So N-pentane, I think, is the one that has a higher surface tension because it has a stronger IMFA compared to third pentane. Now, with regards to the type of this thing here, amorphous and crystalline, crystalline, they are in order, highly ordered structure. Okay, amorphous, they are not in order. Okay, so the degree of the order is not really high when you have an amorphous. And then if you're going to look at the type of the crystalline, Fe is a metallic solid, magnesium oxide is ionic solid, and the last one is molecular solid. Yeah, the ideal gas is just the summary of these different natural gas law. The PV equals to nRT. You just summarize there the Charles, the Boyle's, the Avogadro's, and the Gay-Lussac's law. Okay. If you look at the lecture, there's a discussion where we combine everything, wherein when you combine PV and NT, you will end up with R, which is the ideal gas constant. It's a question. May tanong pa? We don't have a quiz because I want you to concentrate on your exam. Okay? Please don't be confident on the exam because it's open notes. I'll tell you, the time that you will have may not be enough if you think you can just ask Google's help. Okay? Well, the higher viscosity, usually the one that it gives that property is the presence of this H bonding network, like the one that you see in sugar. Okay, so remember, you have to look at the definition of viscosity. It is the resistance to flow. Okay, so if the IMFA is present there, most likely they resist to flow. Remember, what's the one property of a liquid? They flow, unlike the other one. But if the IMFA that hold them together, it's not easier for them to flow. The IMFA acts like more like an adhesive because of the strong intermolecular forces that they have, especially those that have the hydrogen bond network. Tanong. Now, I told you there's a calculation that you have. I think if we have a calculation, it's mostly on the electromagnetic spectrum area, the Bohr's model, okay, the one that you have, I think the Rydberg constant. But we can talk about that on Thursday. And I'm not going to record. And even this recording will be made available after the exam. Because I don't want you to be confused. Sabihin nyo, hindi kayo nagbabasa ng guide. Ano pong module ang kasama sa exam? So it's when always in doubt, there's the course guide. Okay? And usually, based on the message that you gave me, I know who understand the course and then who have some problem or some maybe hopefully miscommunication problem. And as I've told you, the grade that you have for now, it's mostly lower because it includes the diagnostic test. And I have no way to eliminate them because when we have the quiz, usually it just adds everything that you have there. So the first acid test that you will have will be the exam. This exam. That's why I want you to prepare for it, especially if you have bad experience in 18.1. When did the 18.1 given? Kailan nyo kinuha yung 18.1?